This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie?
Yo, my bad. All the people out there. Tonight was my fault. Usually it's Mike's fault when we're running a little late, or we have to reschedule days or times. This week was my fault, but guess what? Work comes first. When your boss puts a 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time call on your calendar when you're walking out the door, I did tell him, though. I said, yo, it's podcast night, right? So, and he looks at me and he's like, I didn't even know, man. He's like, I thought it was Wednesdays. I'm like, no, we changed it to Thursday. He's like, yo, man, let me see if I could do it. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I'm like, work comes first.
What's wrong with the mic, Nico? Let us know.
Is it my mic? Maybe. Hold on. Maybe Nico's getting agitated tonight,
Jimmy thought I was getting kicked out of a school board meeting. No, those are on Wednesdays, Jimmy. Those are on Wednesdays. Love it.
Yeah, I think my mic is better now. I just changed my mic over to my good mic.
Okay.
Could you guys hear me now? I'm a mess tonight. I don't know what to tell you. We're late. My mic's not working. I suck in league. I can't bowl in house shots. Let me get on my league review real quick, Mike.
Nico, let us know what you're bowling. Nico says he had a last practice today before a fun tournament next weekend. What are you bowling? Let us know. Go ahead.
Yeah, my mic.
Let's hear about your league experience.
Yo, I can't bowl in this place, man. This house shot is, I know you're gonna laugh, but it's not easy. It's not, and I can't explain it. If I miss left, I go dead through the face. If I miss right, I 2-8-10. I bowled 6-18. 6-18 this week. I had 637 last week, 618 this week. I've tried bowling balls. I've tried new equipment. I've tried everything, and I just can't find anything in this bowling center right now.
So let me ask this: what are there high scores being bowled?
No,
not at all.
There hasn't been a
what's the high series on a given night?
I think there's still people bowling like high in the low to highs, like 730s to 740s. It's 150 people bowling the league. It's like 30 teams of 5.
So 150 people bowl and 730, 740 is the high series.
I think 750ish. I haven't.
Yeah, I gotta say, that sounds pretty tough,
dude.
That sounds like
okay,
they're they're not. Clearly, it's not just a throw it anywhere type house shot.
No. Oh no, Buttrick bowls in the league. Josh Blanchard bowls in the league.
You keep bringing up Buttrick.
Blanchard bowls in. Mike Fitzgerald.
I don't really. I'll be honest. I don't. Here's the thing to me is those aren't really the guys I'm going to look to absolutely be whacking them on a house shot every week. Right. What I want to know is there one or more or a handful of bowlers who have unlocked whatever it is you need to do on this particular house shot to really be whacking them and be averaging 240. Is there anyone averaging 240?
No, I don't think there hasn't been any honor scores.
Is there anybody averaging 230?
I have to look, probably. You know what it is, Mike? It's the guy bowled against us that we bowled against had the front 9 the third game. He was a low rev rate, knuckling up 10 bowler.
Okay.
Because they're really, really wet dry.
Okay.
So if you're left like me and you're not real, it's complete wet dry, Mike. It's like you miss right, it hooks early, You missed
Well,
last
yeah,
week.
I mean, wet dry, like, yeah, you want to knuckle it, right? If I see wet dry, I'm trying to get as far right as I can without the ball hooking out of my hand, and I'm trying to just suitcase it, and I'm trying to just shoot quates right up the lane. Really, is what I'm trying to do.
Here's my strategy next week, and we'll see if it pays off. IQ tour or something very smooth. I'm gonna move my ass right, and I'm gonna literally try to come up the back of the ball. Like, so I can get it in the dry and I could just play it like up like 12 to like 5. And just ultimately, I'm going to try to kill my ball next week instead of trying to. I think I'm trying to play it too far left to right.
Sometimes that's the way you got to do on these house patterns is just
Yeah,
take your hand out of it and just
try to
puck it up the lane, shoot quates right up the lane, nothing on it, and just let the ball roll and, you know, kind of rolls out when it hits the dry. And it's not real fun. Like, you know, it's not real fun to try and throw it that way.
And the carry sucks. And the carry sucks because if you hit the rack the wrong way, you flat 10. So it's
but you got to make sure you're getting it to the dry.
Well, that's another problem.
Shit, you got to make sure if you're going to take that strategy, I feel like you got to get it to the dry enough where it's really like, you know, burnt, like almost burning up into the hole, but just going right through them.
So that's a lesson for the people out there, right? Like, if what you're doing in league isn't working, every week I go in there and I'm trying like new balls, ball speeds. I'm moving my eyes left. I'm moving my eyes right. But Mike, no, there's no excuses. What's the excuses? The excuses.
Jimmy in the chat saying Rob is full of excuses tonight.
It's no excuses. I'm telling you, I'm bowling shitty. I'm not making excuses. I'm trying no different. I'm trying different things. Because Mike, once you find it and you understand what to do correctly, it'll be there most hopefully the year until they switch it on me, whatever.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like the way I view house shots a lot, like guys will, house bowlers will say to me, "Oh, well, you say what you say about house shots, but how come, I go over to this place and I don't bowl well?" No matter what I do. And like that house shot is hard. And I tell them like, no, that house shot isn't hard. It's just different. And you got to do something likely radically different than what you do to have success on that particular house shot. But you're right. Once you kind of figure out what you have to do, then yeah, I think, you can kind of unlock the easiness.
We'll see what happens because I know a lot of people also are struggling in that league right now. So it's not just me. I mean, my average is, I would have got hammered by Mamma Mia this week.
Julio Rod saying Mamma Mia beat you with the handicap.
Dude, everybody's beating me, but ultimately right now it's a long league. I think my average is, I made a mistake on my Twitter. I was getting 17 pins a game. So I think I'm around 210-ish right now. Probably after this week, I'll probably be more in the 2-0s. I'm fine with that right now. This is my first little league. But here's the funny thing, Mike. You're going to laugh. I bowled in the same bowling center at a regional. I had 740 my first 3 at the regional. I broke 700 once in 4 weeks there on the house shot. It's amazing how someone you could put out a house shot and I'm struggling on the house, but you put out a 48-foot shark pattern and my ball reaction will look 1,000 times better.
That's another thing that I think is a huge misconception in bowling with the house shot nonsense is that, bowlers think, oh, well, this pro bowler, if they're so good and house shots are so easy, then they should just come in and crush it and beat everybody anyway and never miss. Or, oh, this guy who throws it great, he should come in and never miss. And honestly, when you throw it good and you bowl on conditions that require more accuracy and a different way of rolling the ball that don't have free hook, I would say is probably the biggest difference. You learn to roll it in a way that really isn't that effective on the house stuff. And
it is. Your game gets tailored to the pro shots, to the sports shots.
Yeah, and you can.
Because
we had a discussion about it a little while back on Twitter where Dr. Barnes actually chimed in. Shout the Beef and Barnesy podcast. Dr. Barnes actually chimed in and was saying how he feels that I forget what his point was actually. I think it was about like rev rate created versus speed control. And that was kind of one of the points that he was making. And that's a good point. Like bowling on the tougher stuff, you're usually trying to throw it slower and stay more under control. Whereas on the house stuff, I think, you really want to cock back and really throw it to a certain degree. So, yeah.
But I remember, and this is where like I've seen it throughout my career when it comes to house bowlers and the difference between a house bowler pro compared to like a regular pro, right? So what happens is the style that if someone grew up in a bowling center, which we all did, but never left the bowling center, essentially your style, the way the bowling center is and the lane surface and the lanes, if you never leave that center, your style ultimately it adjusts to that bowling center, right? So
Agreed.
you're essentially your ball roll, your speed, your rev rate almost like
matches up to what you have to do to strike in that center because that's how you learn to strike.
And that's the only place you bowl, right? And that's the only place you bowl.
That's why it was so important as young youth bowlers to go to different houses, right? And 100%. Go to different bowls. So like, I mean, yeah, no, I totally agree with you.
And that's where like that was the biggest thing about JBT and why it prepared you for the next level, because it gave you so many different looks and versions. And I'll give you a great story about something like that. We bowled in this league at Lake Forest. This was years ago. It was one of the Mamma Mia leagues. It was like some Vegas fun league, right? And I bowled in it. I bowled in it just to like meet people. Like I was new to the area. I wanted to meet people, so I did it. And everybody, they bowled in Lake Forest for a year, right? At the end of the year, the sweeps would go to Gold Coast. Okay. So this whole league then would bowl for all of the money in Gold Coast. Gold Coast house shot obviously was a lot different than Lake Forest house shot. Gold Coast would put out a ton more oil, right? Now, being the bowler that I was and how I was able to adjust and see the different, even going from one house shot to another house shot, these people had no idea how to adjust to that. Right. Because all they did was bowl at Lake Forest. Now you go to Gold Coast and you're putting out a new house shot. But the new house shot had a ton more volume. So nobody knew how to move right or nobody knew how to put surface.
Right. Again, still easy. Still unlock it,
But everybody was
going to come out and whack them. Okay.
Everybody was struggling. Everybody. The whole league struggled because nobody knew how to adjust. And here I come, bring a new ball, bring 6 with me, put a pad to it, and bowl great to take pretty much. I ran away with all their money on the sweeps because nobody knew how to bowl. You had the 230.
Rob loves beating up on Mamma Mia.
I do.
Did you hear how excited he was about that, guys?
10 years ago.
Oh,
10 years
my
ago.
God.
This was years ago. But all I'm saying is
you're a prick. I'm going to call you a prick tonight, prick.
All I'm saying is that the fact where you could even go from one house shot to another house shot, but if people are all they're bowling on is one center for their whole career and their whole lives, you'll never experience and be able to adjust to anything else. And that's pretty much the point.
2 more points to that. When we bowled JBTs, and you will attest to this, there were a lot of times where we used to hear about guys. Yeah, take that down for a minute. I'm going to bring
I like that comment.
Yeah, so do I. And I have a follow up to that too. Or I'll transition to that in a second. But Rob, you know as well as I do, and I'm not naming names here, but there were guys out there who we had heard of, like, oh, so and so from this place, or so and so from that place, right? And we would hear, oh, they bowled this, they bowled that, they're averaging this, they're averaging that, right? And then they would come out to a JBT, at not at the place where they regularly bowled, and they would get their lunch eaten. They would get their lunch eaten, right? So yeah, I totally agree with that. You also see this on tour, right? We'll bring up Jimmy's quote in a minute here, his comment in a minute here. But Rob, how many times do you see where when they go back to a similar place, one guy runs them over repeated years in that place? You see that often because again, like their ball, what they do happens to match up well there, and it kind of unlocks something for them, and they're able to repeatedly bowl good.
Mike, look at the stats from when the World Series of Bowling was at South Point, because they used to go back every year, and I bowled a few of those at South Point. The World Series, I bowled, I think two years I bowled South Point, and usually the same bowlers were really, really bowling well in that building. And a lot of Storm players bowled really well in that building because the Storm balls at the time matched up very well to the South Point Bowling Center, not the stadium. The Ebonite balls at the time were really burning up really early on the lanes, and a lot of the EBI guys couldn't get their balls to go down the lane, right? So you guys had like Belmonte, who really, really ran that play, loved it. South Point, loved it.
Right, and
Bowled a
then
lot of
in the chat, Jimmy making a good point. You can kind of look at that idea as applying to Darty, right, in the World Series last year. Where he was bowling in a house he was really familiar with, and kind of dominated and performed to a level that we hadn't seen him perform at before. And yeah, you do have to look at that and say, match, quote unquote, matching up in that center or being familiar with how to strike in that center. You would think has something to do with that.
So here's a good example. Like, I'm bowling a tournament this weekend, one of the CBEs. We had, the complete bowling events that we had Theo on. It's at RH Johnson in Sun City. That's the center where the last 2 times that I bowled, I finished second on Red Square, and I bowled the doubles with I believe it was Katie Hurley, and I went like 300 over for like 7. My last 2 tournaments there. I like that building. I see my ball doing the right thing in that building, regardless of what pattern they put out. I see my ball doing the right thing. But if I go to Cabazon in California, Moreno Valley at the casino, and I've bowled there like 5 times, and I've never cashed in that building. You see it, when you're matching up and you have the right everything. But it's amazing how you can go from like even the same bowling pattern. I could bowl on Viper at Sun City and kill them, and put up Viper at Camazon in Moreno Valley and literally beat 200 under. So yes, it's a lot of the bowling alley characteristics. Kegel did a big study on the lane topography, right? We've talked about that. The lane topography is a huge deal in a lot of these centers, to the fact that Kegel was actually going to some of these centers and they were fixing the topography, which cost an arm and a leg. They did it at the bowling stadium years ago when the lefties would just run them over. Remember when the Reno bowling stadium, the lefties would just kill them? Well, it was a topography issue when they built the stadium. I guess whoever put the lanes in didn't really take that into consideration. Chris Shawtran and Kegel was literally going to a lot of these bowling centers and fixing the topography. Affects it. It does. It's just the bowling alley characteristics. So yeah, like maybe, I can't blame the bowling characteristics of where I'm bowling league. I can't blame that because I killed the regional in qualifying there, the same bowling center. So obviously there's something that just doesn't fit what I'm doing with the house shot compared to when I bowl on a pattern. And I'm trying to figure that out right now, but I'm hoping by mid-year, the way it's going right now, I might need another 10 weeks to figure out what the fuck I'm doing there. But yeah, I know. I think this is a good conversation because I'm hoping this, like, people who are listening, they go, oh yeah, maybe maybe I'm not bowling in this center for a reason that I never realized. I don't know. I mean, I stay away from Cabazon now in Moreno Valley. I don't go near that bowling center, just because I know my ball sucks there and I plaque 10 every time I try to throw it there, but whatever.
All right, so Rob, we're going to move forward. Earlier this week on Twitter, there was a video that you sent out, or you retweeted, I guess, and it was a video from NASCAR, and it was one driver running up to the car and punching the shit out of another driver. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
And you retweeted it, and you said something to the effect of like, "Hey PBA, are you paying attention?" We know around here. If you're new around here, be aware that Rob is like a wrestling fan. Okay, he wants to see the PBA manufacture like drama, WWE level drama, physical drama, even.
I don't want to manufacture it. I want it to be real.
He wants it for real, right.
Real.
So here's the conversation we'd like to have, and people in the chat, feel free to get involved. This should be a good one. And I said this on Twitter, and I told everybody that we would come and discuss this week. What PBA fights you want to see? What PBA fights do you want to see?
This is just too good. Honestly, like I really put some thought into this because I think it's an interesting topic of conversation because I feel like a real fight on the show, well, let alone if it will never happen, would be covered by every major media outlet like the NASCAR fight was, right? No one said a word about the actual race. Nobody said, look, well, let me say something here. When Blanchard fell on the lane with the bowling ball, nobody said a word about the event. Nobody remembers who won that tournament. Pete Weber, who do you think you are? I am. People, they say to me till this day, oh, you're a bowler? Oh, who do you think you are? I am. I'm like, do you even know what tournament or where that was? They're like, no. Like, nobody knows that was a U.S. Open. Nobody knows, right? People remember the who do you think you are? I am, right? The bottle incident with Rash, right? The bottle, but nobody remembers where that was. Or all I'm saying is a real fight on the PBA, a real fist fight. I mean, I'm talking like
Squaring up. I mean, really, like the scenario would probably be that someone strikes, right, and they get mouthy as they're coming back and turning around, and the opponent like comes out of the chair and either squares up with them right there on the approach or kind of tackles them and goes into battle form from there, UFC style, and takes it to the ground. But all right. What PBA fights do you want to see? Right, we have some thoughts. Jimmy's just killing the chat right now.
He is.
He says Bill versus Prather.
No, first off, Bill's not a fighter. Okay, Bill's not a fighter. Okay, Bill's already well admitted that.
That would not be that. Yeah, that wouldn't be a good fight. That actually, out of all the fights we could arrange, I would picture that as like maybe one of the weakest fights.
I would say.
I mean, like a
Bill versus
Thomas. A Thomas Larson
Frankie
versus Frankie Lavoie fight would probably be a level below that for me. The Bill and Prather, but I picture a Bill and Prather fight very boring. I picture it as more like slap boxing than actual brawling.
I want to see Bill. I want to see Bill versus Belmo. I want to see that shit show of a fight. Best friends fight each other like WrestleMania 4 when the Mega Powers explode and Macho Man fought Hulk Hogan. You see Belmo fight Bill O'Neill, for the title for the PBA playoff title. But honestly, so I have a couple good matches here. Now I really dug down out of the woodwork for some of these pros that I want to see fight each other. Okay, I want to see a handicap match. Okay, I want to see the Tang brothers fight Tom Hess. Okay.
Oh, 2-on-1? 2-on-1? You want a 2-on-1? All right, listen. It's funny you bring up Tom Hess because he would be like a main event, like put him on every card type fighter. Right?
Brock Lesnar, no.
He would be put him on every card, son. I would not be able to get enough of Tom Hess fighting. So I have a good old school one for you, right? How's this for you? Tom Hess versus Dave Traber. How's that for you? Big boy style.
Well, that was my next seat. It's funny you brought up Dave the Entremont.
No, Traber.
Oh,
Traber. Dave Traber.
Traber, because the Entremont was my next.
But the Entremont, he always seemed too calm to me. He always seemed,
Got a couple drinks in him. Dave the Entremont versus Rudy Revs.
Okay. All right, I like that one.
Dude, Rudy Revs. Could you imagine that battle? That's like heavyweight. That's like heavy. That's like one time only, champ versus champ.
Here's another one.
Rudy Revs.
Here's another one I came up with that I thought would be, and it's kind of a classic. You got to take both these players at their prime, right? But I think just in terms of how they match up in stature and how they match up in will to win, I think it might be a great bout. How about Norm Duke against Marshall Holman? How about that one?
Oh, I'm taking Marshall Holman. Dude, that
Yeah,
was fire, man. You
I
see him
don't
kick
know,
the
man.
foul light. If he lays a kick like he kicked the foul light under Norm Duke, the whole thing would explode.
Oh,
How
I
about this
gotta.
one?
We gotta. I also have to arrange. You got to arrange a bout between Pelusic and a two-hander. There's got to be some sort of bout there.
Doesn't Peluzic's losing regardless of who he fights two-hander. I don't know a two-hander that would lose to Pelusic.
Might be true. Yeah, we'd probably have to put him in the ring with a Canadian. I think probably like Zach Wilkins or something. You know, put him in the ring with a Canadian who's like real nice. You know,
See, I like this matchup better against Holman. I like to see Brian Voss versus Marshall Holman. Prime Voss.
You think
Holman.
you think Voss can brawl?
Oh, I mean, unless he messed up his hair, I don't know.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like he's a little pretty to be brawling. You know. Ooh,
I mean, yeah,
Jimmy,
we
good one. Simo versus Randy. Ooh,
I think Simo's going to win that.
Man, okay.
I think Simo's going to win that. What about a battle of the commentators? Rob Stone versus what? I can't think of who's the other announcer that's always on there. I can't think of it.
We're Dave Ryan. Dave Ryan.
What about Rob Stone versus Dave Ryan in a battle of the commentators?
Yeah, see, this is a good point. Voss does have military training. He does. But you know, I mean, I don't know, man. Like Voss to me in a fight is like Patrick Swayze in the movie Roadhouse. Like it's just not believable that he's that tough. I'm sorry. Like I don't know.
So do we know of any bowlers who actually train MMA or train like jujitsu or have any like fight? I don't know of any bowlers that actually train like on the off season and do jujitsu. Does anybody know? That's a good question because jujitsu is really popular these days, and a lot of people. I mean, it's great cardio. I'd imagine a lot of people don't do it because you could like separate a shoulder or like hurt yourself, and you probably would be out of commission for a while.
I also want to say, like, remember Sean Rash with the comments about the urethane on the show with Matt Russo, and Matt Russo then went up and opened and had that frame. So I feel like there could be a revenge upset there, but there's definitely a physical mismatch between those two. So yeah, it would be interesting to see if the revenge factor plays out in that one.
Honestly, if you're gonna ask me, like current like bowlers, I'd like to see Tommy Jones fight Sean Rash. Ooh. I think that would be a good fight.
Ooh, okay.
I think Tommy Jones has got that southern, like, you know, that southern brawler type, you know, break the beer bottle over your head and then over your own head and then his head and then, you know, the country music would be playing and then people would be falling over the bar and it'd be one of those.
This is a good. See, you're thinking like me, Kevin Weeks. You're going for like what's the prime matchup, right? Ginger Assassin versus Kelso.
Ooh, Pineapple Express.
Heavyweight bout. Yes, yeah. Heavyweight bout, Weeks. Yes, absolutely.
So anyway, look, like we all kid here, right? It's all
we're just having fun.
We're just having fun. You know, now will a real
it would be some wild shit though if somebody smacks somebody else on a PBA show.
Like Will Smith, Chris Rock type shit.
Yes, it would. It really would. Like that would even have somebody like me just howling out of my seat, you know. But we wanted to have a little fun with it. We saw that NASCAR clip, and you know, I chimed that into Rob, so we decided to bring it here.
I remember there was a TV show that you couldn't watch, and you DVR'd it, and there was this show that Rash had that outburst.
Yeah.
And I called you, and I'm like, Mike, you gotta watch the show. You gotta watch the show. It's amazing. And the first thing you asked was there a fight? Did I miss a fight on the show? And I'm like, no, it wasn't that good. Like, I feel like a real like back and forth argument, or even a really heated argument, would actually be really good for the PBA. Like a back and forth, like, you know, almost getting to fists, like almost, you know, where they had to get separated, like a UFC weigh-in,
Or
when
like a chest to chest after the shot, yelling in the other person's, "You don't want this. You don't want this, son."
And then they would have to separate them, and then hopefully those two bowlers are actually like really good bowlers, and they're always making shows, and then all of a sudden they're bowling each other all the time, And I feel like the Rash Belmo could have got there if the PBA didn't try to squash it back when they did. I feel like the PBA needs to be supporting that kind of behavior, and they need to say, "Oh, hey, like let's let these two guys go at it."
If these hypotheticals were to take place, would the players? Jimmy asked, would the players be suspended for the whole year after something like that? Yeah, I think so.
Probably. Because you know what, look, like the PBA is still a professional organization. There's so many rules. These guys get suspended for complaining about the link in the shoes.
I know.
I can't imagine what would happen if someone threw a punch on TV. I feel like the PBA needs to be like, hey, like let them show the emotions. If you got two players that are going to want to go at it and they're going to want to yell at each other and they're going to want to go face to face and almost come to blows, then do it. But look, like I live in a little bit of a different world on how to get the PBA more entertaining than a lot of people do. I think my way would be the right way, and it would bring in a lot of ratings. And Mike, maybe I'm thinking about maybe I should write an article on how the PBA should be more entertaining, because I'm always complaining about how bowling is an entertaining sport on TV, that it takes the players to make it entertaining, because bowling is not going to be, bringing in, the ratings that I think we want.
Nico, I got to correct you, my guy. We got much love for you around
here.
We
got Ryan Simonelli.
You're saying we got Ryan. No. That's not what happened.
Asked the question.
We had Ryan Simonelli on, and we asked him about his comments that he had made repeatedly on social media. Like, it was super clear that he had some serious frustrations with what was going on the lanes and on the left side out there. Okay, so he's the one who went in that direction. We had no idea that he was going to say what he said, nor did we know that the PBA was going to react in that way. We didn't know.
That was all new to us. Let me bring up Jimmy's comment here. No, Tom Clark for Chad Murphy, maybe. Jeff Riggles versus Chad Murphy.
Oh,
that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I would pay pay-per-view to watch that. I would pay pay-per-view to watch Riggles and Murphy do a charity boxing match. Yeah, I would.
Yeah, no helmet. I think Chad Murphy would lose. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think
there's a lot of anger.
Too much rage.
There's a lot of anger there. Yeah. Yep.
I
feel you.
Oh, what a great topic. We don't do any more fun topics like this. This always is one of my favorite parts of doing the show. Speak of the devil, 2023 schedule. It's almost October, Mike. Are we going to see a 2023 schedule from the PBA?
Hopefully soon. John in the chat also asked streaming. Any word on streaming? No. I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. I wouldn't expect much. I wouldn't expect much more than match play, perhaps. So we're still waiting on word, John. It'll be very interesting to see what they come out with after this long wait. Is it going to be the same old? Starting January. Majors, World Series of Bowling, team event in the summer type deal.
Yeah. So I mean, look, last year was the end of October. I don't remember, honestly. I can't barely remember what I had for lunch today, let alone when the schedule was released last year. But I'll take your word for it.
It sounds about right.
Is it, obviously, to me, that's too late, right? Like, these pros got to book travel schedules, right? And I mean, do you think that's too late for a schedule? Like, when the first tournament of the year probably would be
January,
first or second week of January. He's giving these guys a month or two.
I don't think it's too late. I mean, I'd prefer it earlier, but I don't think it's too late. You would think that they're putting together the schedule for next year in the beginning of this season. So I mean, it just logistically of how they would do it, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me as to why it would take that long. But I'm sure, there's probably a reason behind it that we just don't know. But okay, all right, Rob. You mentioned you might write an article.
Yeah.
I wrote an article.
You did. You set the bowling world, I think, on fire a little bit.
Did I? I don't know.
Yeah, because I feel like
I didn't really look at it that way.
Not on fire, but I feel like it's just such a slow time in the bowling world for bowling news. There hasn't been any like bowling on TV. There hasn't been any like controversy. I feel like this was actually a really good time to release an article like that because we saw some other media like jump on. Like we saw a video from J.R. Raymond that was probably in response to a lot of what like your article was. I'm not sure what the hit numbers were, how many people read your article, but it seemed like a lot of people like took note at least of what you were saying. I love.
Yeah, it got I think people who came across it got their attention.
I love bringing that up to the forefront of the bowling world. I think it's barely ever talked about other than on our show. I really don't ever hear or talk or see any other media or even like Bowling This Month or bowling like magazines or any really body talking about it, maybe other than us and probably Jeff, who's not afraid to post stuff like that on his 11 frame blog. But I feel like at this point in the bowling world, like it needs to be talked about. I don't know. I just felt like it got people's attention for sure, like, and a lot of people have strong opinions about it. But I love that. Like,
I think because a lot of people bowl on the house shit, and a lot of people have a lot of their accomplishments on the house shit, and I think when they come across it and they read it, they probably feel like, oh, he's talking about me, and that's not true of me. And
so you think he's,
I'm gonna tell him what it is.
Right.
But
so is that what you think? A lot of people took it personally, like you were calling their accomplishments fraudulent, essentially.
Yeah, I do. I mean, in reading some of the responses to it and seeing how people reacted in a way, yes, I do. So there's been two follow people. People were so interested in what I had to say in the argument I was making that there's been two follow-up articles. All right. So one was by a guy, Luke Rossdale. I'm not familiar with who he is. He has a YouTube with a lot of subscribers. I know that. He does a lot of ball review videos. He also is a Storm self-admitted patch pirate. He said that in the article, not me. I'm not calling him that, even though
I love it.
If the shoe fits, wear it.
I love it. I love it. I love people that term is going to be cat.
Yeah, it's great. So like in terms of Luke's article, I'll be honest. I thought your brother summarized my thoughts really well. He said like the article wasn't really saying all that much. It was kind of just throwing your hands up in the air and saying, oh, well, you know what? This is the way it is, and that's okay, and it could be this way, and some people are only in it to have fun and have a few beers. And listen, guys, I get all that. I said that in my article. Like, I get that there are people out there who have zero interest in bowling on something harder. And you know what? I'm going to talk in a minute about why that doesn't make sense anyway, but I'm okay with that. All right? I don't really care about that. Those aren't the people I'm talking about. I'm really talking about, guys like Luke who are, good bowlers. They're very into bowling. He said he has pro shop experience and this and that, but don't really make sport bowling in a league setting a priority in the area that they're in. Okay, he even talked about in the article how he bowls a league with a lot of really good bowlers and Wichita State guys and regional players, and they don't bowl on something tough. And I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, what I don't, what's the reason? If everybody's open to it, then why not do it? Why not set the standard in your own area? Why not try and get that conversation started in your area? Why not have other bowlers walking in or bowling next to you and saying, oh, man, I know all you guys are good bowlers. How come nobody's shooting 300 or 280? And it's a chance to educate people. So I get it. I hear you, Luke. I do, man. Like I'm not blind to the idea that there's people out there that only want to bowl on the recreational side of the game. And I'm not saying take that away, but I am saying delegitimize that. Okay? I am saying make a more clear line of demarcation between the two sides of the game. Right? And if that means something as clear as colored oil or easy level scrolling across the bottom of the screen, then so be it. I'm okay with that. Let's give people a reason to come to the other side of the game. Now, if I was going to write another article, which I'm not, okay? But if I was, here are some of the things that I would be touching on. Here's some of the questions I'd be asking, all right? Why do you have to score high to have fun? Like these guys like Luke who say, "Oh, I'm out for a couple beers with my buddies on this night that I bowl, and we bowl on a house shot." Well, like, why does that matter? If you're out for a couple of beers with your buddies, isn't that the reason you're bowling?
Well, I agree with that.
Why
I agree with that. I'll tell you why I agree with that.
Why then do you have to have the big scores built in? If you're there to have beers and hang out with your buddies, have beers and hang out with your buddies. Does it matter if you shoot 140 or 240? I don't get it. To me, that argument, which a lot of people made in response to my article, is to me a disingenuous argument. Okay?
Well, here's what your point is, and I agree with you because I mean, how many times, like, and I in my tweet, like we went back and forth on Twitter about this a couple days ago. I wrote, well, how many times you go golfing and you hit 105 shots and you remember the one good shot you hit, right?
Oh my
Darts,
God.
right? Darts.
Rob, no, hold on. Stop
Pool.
Stop there. Because you gave the best example in that tweet. And I bowled in some sport leagues, and that's the side that people don't see. People don't see that there's a guy who shoots, let's say, 520 for the night.
Or lower even.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've seen it, believe me. But has those 3 frames or 5 frames where he executes it well, and he shoots a messenger across the deck and takes out the 10 and trips the 4 and then throws a good one and has that 4-bagger. And he understands, oh, I can do it. I just got to repeat that more often. And that's what creates the drive to look into it more, to get better, to buy a ball, to go and practice, to get a lesson, so that you can unlock that more often. Okay. Now, 100%. on the other side of house bowling, recreational bowling, that is completely absent. That is completely absent, folks. Let's be honest. It's how many times do you hear a house bowler or somebody bowling on a house pattern bowl a mediocre series and say, oh, those 3 or 4 shots, I really threw them great. If I could just do that more often, I could get this. No, they blame the ball. They blame the lanes. They blame the humidity. They blame the approaches. They blame whatever, right? So that's totally absent, okay? So again, like, I find some of these arguments that people are making somewhat disingenuous, So I guess Jerry Kessler, another person from Jeff's website that follows Jeff's website, wrote another rebuttal. And I'll be honest, and I'm not criticizing. Listen, I have a degree in English, so I'm a good writer. It's always come naturally to me. It's easy for me to put my thoughts into words most times. But I know it's challenging. I had a lot of trouble following the point that Jerry was trying to make in his article. I did. It was a little bit all over the place to me. But I think one of the things he was saying was that not all house shots are equal, right? And that not all house shots are easy. And I get that too.
I'm living that nightmare right now.
Yes, but at the same time, we're in a community where people literally seek out the easier places to bowl so that they can bowl the higher scores. So I don't know, guys. I don't know if that's the answer.
See, like me and you agree on the major part of the game and how it should be more competitive on sport shots. But I feel like I always bring up the point, and when I always talk to you about this, I always talk about it is people that always like they'll ask you, well, why does it matter? Okay, like why does it matter if half the people bowl on house shots, 20% people bowl on the sport shots, and the other 15% whatever will bowl on whatever some whatever is out there. And look, there's a lot of important reasons why we want to see bowling become competitive on harder shots. One, it definitely keeps the integrity of the game, to a high level, right? Where honor scores, 300s, 800s, 15 averages are celebrated, right? Really celebrated back when they used to be celebrated back in like the 60s and 70s, right? And 80s even. And right now 300s are not celebrated. Someone bowls 300, they put a video, everyone applauds, big game. Okay, there's 3 other 300s that night, right? It's not an uncommon thing. The other thing to me, which is the most important part of keeping the sport on a high level, competitive, challenging pattern, is the fact where, one, it brings money into the high level competitive side of the sport. People want to get better. They will spend money at the bowling centers practicing. They'll spend money at the pro shops getting lessons. They'll spend money, reading books and, on new equipment, which they probably do already, but maybe to more of an extent, right? They'll spend time in the bowling centers. There's a lot of financial benefits to keeping the game at a hard level for the whole high level competitive side of the sport. Now, on that being said, yes, the USBC membership would probably decrease, which is already is decreasing, right? Probably at a bigger extent, it would decrease if all of the USBC leagues went to a challenging shot, right? People might quit, right? It might happen on a short-term basis. But if the integrity of the sport is at a higher level, you might see it go down, but you might see now all of a sudden an increase, right? Slower increase, but you might actually start seeing increasing memberships after a while when people's egos are people are done crying and complaining and, I'm quitting. What bowlers like to do. And then maybe decide one day, I love bowling. I don't want to quit. So let me figure this out. Let me try to get better, right? And how do you get better, right? The mental game, the physical game, the technical side of the game, right? The 3 keys to getting better. It's like a triangle, right? And if you could master those 3 aspects of your game, you will get better. Right now, nobody cares about the mental game when they're bowling house shots. Nobody cares about nobody cares. All people care about these days is the equipment. You get a new bowling ball, right? And that's how you're going to get better. Nobody cares about the, physically trying to take lessons to get better. Nobody cares about, mentally getting stronger and trying to be better. People just want to go average their 230 and they want to have their egos fulfilled and then they want to leave and they want to go home. And that's where we are. That's where the sport is. And I'm done. I said my piece. And that's kind of why I want to see the bowling get to a more competitive level.
Fair enough. I'm done. Tuesday.
Done? Is this it? Are we killing the whole talk here? Because shit, man, this league folding, has costed everyone who listens to this show, including us, hours of our lives because you couldn't get people to join your sport league.
No, well, Tuesday we're starting back up. New format, no commitment. If you're local and you want to come out.
Question, Tony.
Come on out.
I love when Tony's in the chat, man, because Tony knows bowling. I know Tony. Great guy. Loves bowling, knows it, and been in the industry for years. Mike, what do you think a normal league bowler would say to a 170 to 190 average?
Who averages 170 to 190?
Correct.
I think they'd say, what the hell's a house shot?
So you don't think they even know what a house shot is compared? You think
I don't think they know
education.
Yeah, I don't think they know that there's a whole nother side of the game. Not the people that are averaging 170 to 190. I'm not talking to those people. Not worried about not worried about those people.
Tony, where are you working now? What are you working for the USBC? Tony writes, "You're not going to like me now at my new job." Oh, I want to know what his new job is.
He's probably the head of head of house shot quality score control for the USBC.
He's working for like the New England Patriots or something, probably. He's the area manager for Bolero. Well,
okay. No doubt.
I like.
Actually, I like hearing that. I like hearing that a lot because
I know someone who knows
I hope
bowling.
they get more people like you who know the sport as well as you do. To
understand.
He's working for Tim Buck, throwing people off the site. That would be pretty bad.
I do like the fact that Bolero is hiring like people who know bowling. They're not just bringing in like area managers who came from, I don't know, wherever, other outside businesses other than bowling. In order for bowling to survive and a company like Bolero to survive, they need to hire people who know bowling, who know the leagues, who know the bowlers, who know the sport. That's the only way Bolero will survive. And if we're all the centers that they're acquiring and all the acquisitions, they better keep people who know the sport. And they better have people talking to the executive boards at their corporate office who know bowling. See, that's my concern with Bolero, Mike. It's not the fact that they have area managers who know bowling. My concern is they have people at the corporate side, right, who are running the PBA, who are running their corporate decisions, the executive boards, all these, I don't even want to say it, but all these old, fuddy-duddies that are running the corporate, all this money that have no idea about the sport of bowling and are making decisions for the PBA and for their bowling centers that have no idea about bowling. That's my concern.
Fair enough. All right, Rob, are we ready to move forward?
We are ready. We're a fire tonight, man. I feel like since we talked about the fighting, the one, like me and you are like real riled up right now because of the
well,
PBA
I mean, listen,
fights.
like I just spent a week with the whole bowling community. I feel like coming at me, and like coming at my dome.
The Jon Snow meme of like
trying to, but listen, like I'll be honest, there were a lot of people that agree with me too. My wife went on and read most of the comments, and she was like, "A lot of people don't agree with you." She's like, "I think you're losing this argument," and I was like, "Well, I don't care. It's not about winning and losing the argument. It's about the way I view things."
So John Stevenson, that was a wrong comment. Big Mike versus Mamma Mia. Trust me, Mamma Mia is going to beat him every time with 100 pins a game. John. Yeah, Stevenson,
but I don't. I see. I'm on. This is what you don't understand, John. I'm on Mamma Mia's side. I'm on my. See, you think I'm against Mamma Mia? I'm on Mamma Mia's side. I find if Mamma Mia's bowling the 225, 230 house bowler, I'm in the back. Chopping it up for Mamma Mia. Okay. Because I want to see Mamma Mia take him down. Okay.
See, here's the thing, John, is I want Bolero to make money on the bottom line, okay? If Bolero makes money, the sport survives. I don't want Bolero to not make decisions based on the bottom line. All I'm saying is you can make decisions for the bottom line as well as to keep the high level competitive bowling like there.
I mean,
right?
Listen,
you could do both.
If you're paying attention, okay, they're going to be the only game in town eventually.
Eventually, buy the stock. That's why I have the stock.
If you're paying attention, they're going to be the only game in town. So if that's the way you think things are going, and that's definitely the way I think things are going,
100%. It's going to.
Then yeah, I would rather see people that know bowling involved in it than have it be a bunch of corporate suits who are only interested in profitizing the game in the way that they think will work. But Bolero's kind of been down that road when they first bought a lot of these centers, and they started treating the league bowlers like crap and jacking up the prices and throwing out high school leagues and et cetera. And they've kind of retreated from that. They've definitely retreated from that because I think they understand that they made a bad business decision by doing that. But again, I think it's easier to just have bowlers involved in the corporate structure of Bolero so that they can avoid those mistakes going forward.
Yeah, shout outs to Bolero Mesa, by the way, because Bolero Mesa is been pretty good so far. While I was bowling the regional match play, I was in my fourth step and the lane light went off while I was throwing the ball. So literally my ball's going down the lane and it's dark, right? The pins are dark. And it didn't matter. I mean, at that point, I was not doing anything. I think one of the mechanics or one of the managers walked over to me and was like apologized like 3 times to me that happened in my swing, and he was very like legitimately concerned about my like bowling, and I was really impressed because I haven't really ever experienced that at a Bolero. So,
Most
shouts
of the
to
time I'd
Bolero
expect
Mesa.
the Bolero to be like,
On
what does that
purpose.
matter? What does
No,
that
on
matter?
purpose. They're
Do you
probably
even
in the
need the
back.
lights on? You don't even need them on. It doesn't make a difference. What are you worried about?
I could just see these kids with Bolero like loose shirts on, and then in the back, like, hey, let's flip the switch off right when he's about to fucking hit. Anyway, all right,
All right,
Mike, you
Rob.
ready?
Let's give the people what they want. All right, Rob. Go ahead.
So I pulled someone to send me this post because this person actually bowled a regional a few weeks ago. And I thought it was actually really funny. So I'm going to read it. Thomas Steed gets worst of the week. His post, I think it was just a status he posted, but somebody took a picture and sent it to me. Bowled the PBA West Regional. The lanes were tough, but I won if you count my mentality staying rock solid. Finished 74th out of 90. I guess he won, Mike. I don't know what else to say. Like, but here's the thing, right? And we kid on worst of the week. I don't mind a post like that, and I'll be honest with you, because everybody bowling the regionals or bowling hard tournaments, they all have their own goals, right? Like you all have your own goals, like to accomplish. Nobody knows your goals other than you. I mean, his goal for that tournament might have been he wanted to stay mentally strong. Maybe he beats himself up too much. Everybody has their own, wars they're fighting, right, internally. So I personally wouldn't have posted that on Facebook. Like I might have just took that as an internal win and said, hey, I did what I accomplished to do. I didn't lose my composure. Now would I post on Facebook that I finished 75th out of 90 and thinking and telling everybody that I won or I won I probably wouldn't have. But I don't know. I just wanted to say that point. Like I thought it was a funny post too. People put some crazy shit on Facebook these days, Mike. I mean, it's a wild scene, that Facebook.
That's why I'm not on it. That's
Jimmy
why I only post under my wife's name.
Jimmy wants to give him a title. Give that man a title.
Oh, Jimmy, you made my week with that penny post.
Oh, where's
Penny? Penny with the boxes and shit next to him.
Dude, shouts to Jimmy.
God,
if you don't follow,
good.
If you don't follow Jimmy on Twitter,
Jimmy
and
is
Instagram,
the best.
the Ringing 10. Like
Jimmy he's literally like a gift of the bowling community. Seriously, dude, honestly, it makes me so happy that the reason he started his thing is because he was listening to us and some of the crazy shit we were saying, and he was like, "Yo, I got to start an account to like do some videos and stuff based on what these guys are saying." It's just great. It's so good. It's so good.
I can't wait to get a Photoshop of Tom Hess in the middle of a WWE ring with the Tang brothers.
True. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So Rob, a while back, I put the bowling world on notice from Sweep the Rack, and I told everybody if you in any way, if I see you encouraging patch piracy in any way, then I'm gonna have to call you out. I'm gonna have to call you out and give you worst of the week. So even though I bowl this person's tournaments and I enjoy their events,
Greg Tack is Greg Tack getting worst of the week?
No. It's Doug LaCorey from Bowledge. Okay. And he runs sport events in my area as well.
Yeah. He's big in the bowling world.
He is. I mean, okay. Yeah. So earlier this week he put up a post, and here it is. Okay. And we might could deep dive on this post if we want to. I kind of want to log off because I'm exhausted and I want to go to bed. But we could. This is a worst of the week that we could really deep dive on here for patch piracy. Here's the post: Bowlage poll, staff contract is the title of the poll.
Okay.
Simple question for the group: how many of you have staff level contracts with either a ball manufacturer or some other bowling paraphernalia company? Paraphernalia, is that even the word?
No,
I don't even think it's bowling
no.
paraphernalia is like what you smoke
smoking crack
weed.
out of a
This
storm?
is what you smoke weed with paraphernalia.
Is he
I don't know
smoking
about
crack out of a
Patch
storm
pirate.
bowl?
But you know what? No, it's perfect. Patch pirate paraphernalia. Okay? Patch
Triple
pirate
P3.
paraphernalia. It's great.
Triple P.
Oh my goodness. Okay, here it continues. I know some of you have contracts with ball manufacturers and other companies, so you can choose more than one option if it applies, right? Here are the options. Are you ready for this? Option 1, I have a staff level contract or hire with a ball manufacturer. Option 2, I have a contract with a bowling related company, i.e. Vice Inserts, Pro Shop, etc. Option 3, I am not in any way associated with any bowling companies and have no contracts. Okay. Are you ready for the results? All right. I have option 1, I have a staff level contract or hire with a ball manufacturer. 120 people voted too. I want to make that clear. 120. This was not like 5 people voting. 120 people voted. 28% said yes, they have a staff level contract or hire with a ball manufacturer.
20%
Okay.
patch pirates.
28%. Okay. I have a contract with a bowling related company. Now there could be some mixing here, right, between the 28% and this one. 23%. Okay. I am no way associated with anyone. 49%. So half and half? I mean, really?
You know, I wish you would have explored that poll more and asked how many of those people that are on staff at work or own bowling pro shops.
Okay, fair point. Yeah, no, you're right.
Because I guarantee you, out of the 28%, 20 to 25% of the 28% are pro shop. How many people have been busted by the police for bowling paraphernalia? That's what our poll is going to be on Sweep the Rack. How many people have been caught smoking crack out of a storm bowl or a storm pipe?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't know if they sell those.
65. So Tony says I would say over 65% work in shops. Tony, I would challenge that, and I would say I would guarantee you it's about 80 to 85%. You know, being a former patch pirate, right? If that's what you want to call it, a former. When I it's hard to have a leg to stand on if you don't have any kind of direct like contact with like revenue for the bowling ball companies, right? And you know that, right? So like as someone who maybe was just bowling, and I wasn't bowling a lot, but maybe someone who was bowling, it's tough to prove my worth to a bowling ball company to get free stuff, right? Now, why do bowling ball companies probably keep a lot of patch pirates? Is because a lot of patch pirates, yes, they might get one free ball from the release, but guess what, Mike? They probably buy like 6 to 8 other bowling balls because they get some kind of staff level discount. So in their eyes, they're still in reality making sales off of the patch pirates. They figure by giving one ball to these people on a new release, they're probably getting 6 to 8 sales instead of them going and trying to like buy from other companies, right? So there's also that part of it too that we never talk about. We could dig into patch maybe next week.
Oh,
Mike,
somebody wants to dig into patch pirates.
Maybe
patch
next
pirates.
week we could
maybe
next week we could explore the world of the patch pirate, like in that Netflix documentary.
You want to know something? You want to know something? I think I just decided on my Halloween costume.
You could be a patch pirate.
I am. I think I'm gonna be a patch pirate for Halloween. I'm gonna get myself
Sweep the Wreck rosin bags. By the way, we have Sweep the Wreck Worst of the Week rosin bags. If you want them, reach out to us. Does back count as paraphernalia? I don't know. Maybe like we have to come up with a definition of what our bowling paraphernalia is going to be.
I don't know. Somebody asked Doug LaCorey what bowling paraphernalia is. I don't know. Doug's wilding. He's wilding. He shot 300. He's always out of pocket because he does these 300 articles for all the house shot bowlers that shoot 300, and he puts a punny headline on them. He just shot a 300 the other night himself. mean horror show shooting 300.
When does it end of all these like social media posts of people
It
bowling
doesn't.
300?
That's what I'm saying. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Until we button up. Until we button up and make them tough, Hoss. It don't end.
All right.
That's it.
We're only an hour.
Let's end it there.
An hour.
I promise you, there's no paraphernalia in the rosin bags.
No, we wouldn't be sending them out for.
Could be from my garage, though. I don't know.
Yeah,
so.
We wouldn't be sending them out.
All right, Rob. Final thoughts.
Got a bowling tournament this Sunday. 37-foot 1 to 1.9 ratio.
Woohoo! Oh,
so,
have fun with that. That sounds brutal.
I just drilled a new urethane, and I hate to say it, but I'm probably gonna give that a run on the fresh to see what that looks like.
Oh yeah. Anything under 40 feet, like no question. Forget
and
about
this
it.
Surface,
like, it's your thing the first couple games, no question. I think.
Yeah, the surface already hooks.
For better bowlers, it seems like even any things over 40 feet, it's still in play for at least a game or two. But
you could use it on 48 feet.
For me, anything under 40 feet, like that, that's the first ball out of the bag, and I'm probably sticking with it no matter what.
Well, I think how I look at it is usually depends on the lane surface, right? Because I could have thrown urethane on the 48-foot at Mesa because their surface is just they hook.
I know, but how many times, in the current environment, do you run into a surface that's not beat up and hooking?
Right. Well, that's why urethane is so prevalent. These days.
I agree with you. I agree. I think these old synthetic surfaces. God knows how much they're burn up, etc. So
I'll have 2 urethanes with me, most likely. But so that's my final thought. I'm going to practice at B3 Saturday before. Nico, let us know how you done.
Good luck, man. Safe travels.
It's getting late. I can't even talk there. Let us know how you did. But I'll be practicing Saturday at B3 for an hour, and then Sunday I'll bowl, and then see how it goes. So, Mike, what do you got?
Shout to people in Florida, yo.
Oh yeah, man.
Shout
crazy.
to people in Florida.
I know.
I actually have some family down there that's dealing with some stuff right now. I know your brother's down there and whatnot. But shout to people in Florida. We had a couple. Yeah, we had a couple people in the chat. Mention that they were missing league tonight. Obviously people are dealing with bigger issues than that down there. But shout to the people in Florida. Next Tuesday, anybody that's local that's listening to this, if you want to come out and bowl on some sports stuff, next Tuesday, October 4th, 7 p.m., Bolero Hazlitt. All right, if you guys want to come out, exit 117 off the Parkway, we'll be there. Hopefully, we'll have a decent amount of people. We'll be doing some doubles and singles pots. Show up that night, get paid that night, no commitment. Show up whenever you want. And that's about. Oh, also, it's about it, man. I'll be going to the Rev Race Training Center too, Parker Bone Training Center. I'm going to book some time tomorrow to go on Saturday, and probably just most likely just get some work in. Since I'm going to be bowling on Tuesday, it's been a while since I threw the rock, so I want to get out there and get a good session. So Saturday morning, I'll probably be over there getting that done. Maybe from like 9 to 11. So if anybody's around and you want to join me, hit me up if you got my info. Folks, as always, we appreciate you joining us. We appreciate all the comments in the chat. I appreciate everybody who read and commented and reached out to me about the article that I wrote. It was a good conversation. I think it was a well-needed conversation. I'm sorry if I offended anybody or pissed anybody off, or if people felt like I was coming at them. I'm not. You're right. I'm really not sorry, but I don't want people to be mad at me though. I don't want it to be like that.
That's what happens when you become the bowling.
Yeah, but why?
Writer.
Why? Because I'm honest. I said something to that on Jeff's Facebook page. Like, what? Because I'm honest, I deserve criticism. Like, no, I'm sorry. Like, you might not agree with me, but you cannot say that there's anything in that article I said that is not true. Okay,
Mike,
so
here's the thing: is like, and I talked about it when you're on social media and you have a strong opinion about a topic, you're going to get people that aren't going to agree with you. Unfortunately, these days, people are a little bit more, I would say, aggressive because they're behind a computer screen, and they can be aggressive, and no repercussions can happen to them unless you run into them in person and you know them, and then it's a whole different story. But we're in a different day and age with social media where if you have a public opinion and you are strong about it, and you're going to get a lot of hate and a lot of criticism and a lot of, people arguing with you. So, that's the world we live in. But Mike, we appreciate your honesty.
That's why I am who I am, dog. That's why I am who I am. I don't care. That's why I put it out there. I ain't really worried about it.
It's
folks,
honesty.
Thanks for joining us. Hit us up. Sweep the Rack at Gmail. Sweep the Rack at Gmail. Follow us on Twitter. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. I'm at the 215. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week. Sweep the Rack.
There.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.